I understand you all had some questions as to yesterday. As always, I'll give you what I can, what I can, I can't, and I'll be very transparent with you. I know some of you are asking, what did I mean when I made the comment that the cost of doing something versus the price of not doing it. The example that I gave today was simple. It's like going to the dentist. I pay a payment to go there, co-payment. I go there for preventive medicine, preventive dental care. If I don't get it, then I'm going to have issues with my mouth. The same thing is the cost of doing business. When I said we should have metal detectors yesterday, what I meant was we should have had them years ago. If we do have them, they should be in every school, every middle and high school. That's simple. It's not rocket science. I mean, we're in a different era. We're in a different time zone. In the last, 3-4 years, we've had 19 guns in schools. And here's what I would tell you. When you keep having a pattern in the systems of things like that, something is going to happen. You all remember last year we had a gun go off in the school. A young girl was hit at Parkland. I didn't want to name the school. I knew it. Yeah, so the point I'm making is that we've got to be serious about this. If cost is an issue, then let's figure out how to get the money and make sure that all of our schools have them, right? We can't go at this random thing, right? Because random doesn't tell you when the gun's going to be there. You don't go to a Wake Forest game and they randomly have metal detectors. You don't go through TSA and they have random metal detectors. You don't go to the courthouse and they have random metal detectors. Why are we playing with that when it comes to our kids? We can't do that anymore. Those days are gone. So we've got to figure out a plan how to staff it and how to make sure we have them in our schools. Because at the end of the day, if something happens, you will be looking at me and the police department, and your question will be, why didn't you? You knew it, and what did you do? And so here's what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to always give you my truth. It won't be political. It won't be, but it's going to be how I see it. I've been doing this 40 years, 20 plus of them with the federal government. I know what I know, and I know what I see. And I have an obligation to speak that to the people because the people have entrusted me to give them that. I get frustrated. I saw adults yesterday break down crying at what happened at their school. I saw adults because of the stress and the pressure and the what if. I just watched a video of a situation at a school that took place this morning. I see videos every week of things that have the potential for causing someone harm, hurt, or even worse. And as the sheriff, I have an obligation. How do we prevent these things? I'll be quiet and let you ask questions because I know you got somewhere to go and I do too. And I thank you all. I love you. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what security measures are already in place at a school like Harvard? Really, what do you want to see change and what are you asking for specifically?
Well, I can't speak to what the school policies are, right? I don't run the schools. What I can tell you is what's in place as far as the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office is. We have SROs there. I don't control metal detectors in the school. I wish I did. I don't control funding. I wish I did. What I would like to see in place, I would love to see every school with a metal detector, specifically high school and middle. We cannot keep skirting and flirting with danger. You can't. You can't. The frequency is getting too high. Yes, sir.
Have you brought these concerns up to the school district? And I guess
2019 was the first time I've had this conversation. Fact check it. I mean, we've been in conferences before where I've spoke about this. Fact check it.
And I guess, what's the response to you when you bring it?
Again, I won't speak to the school system issue. They were invited for whatever reason. I don't know. I don't know if it's cost. I don't know if it's manpower. But whatever it is, we as a community, we as the county, we need to fix it. And it's my job to call it out. I've got to call it out. I can't close my eyes to it. I can't because I see it. I saw the teachers crying yesterday. I got 4 deputies at that school today, 4. 1 on every floor and a rover. I can't sustain that the entire year. I can't. I got issues happening at other schools. I'd have to enlist the help of my friends at the PD in order to cover every school with that number of deputies and officers. You can't. You can't learn when you got that many. That's not even an environment for conducive for learning. Let's be honest. It's not an environment conducive for teaching. Let's be honest. You know, it's my job to give you the truth. There are people that would love to tell you that, but they can't. I answer to you, the people, and God. That's it. And I'm going to give you my truth. And that is the truth. We've got to do something yesterday. Next question. Yes, ma'am.
Just for the record, can you go ahead and recount the events that happened start to finish yesterday?
Well, yesterday I just happened to be at the school when this took place. I was at the school on a situation that took place on Friday, discussing some measures about what took place on Friday. And as I was there, school on lockdown, I got up because I wanted to know what happened. And that's when I discovered what was going on.
Yeah, so you're speaking with the district. They say that they do have metal detectors at every middle school and high school. They just random, like you said. Is what you're asking for it to be permanent every day? We're checking students as they go in the school because they say some days they don't.
What does random mean? Do you go to TSA and they randomly have metal detectors? Do you go to the courthouse? The most valuable asset that we have is our children. Is our children. You'll be surprised at what comes through those doors every day, randomly. And if it's random, all I've got to do is walk and see that it's happening and make a U-turn, go back to the car, go to the bushes or wood line, and then proceed on in. But if I know it's happening every day, I'm not even bringing it. I cut that off at the path. What I would like to see happen, and I have no control over that is a school district decision. If we have them at every middle school and high school, then we should use them. It doesn't do me any good, you any good, our children any good to have something in a warehouse. Make it make sense. And I'm not criticizing anyone. Please make sure you specify that. I'm just telling you, I have an obligation to you and the people to speak the truth. I have sleepless nights behind this. I do. I have to look at these men and these women every day when I send them into harm's way. I have to look at my deputies yesterday as they were taking a real live gun with real live ammunition off of a student. The possibilities. A gun serves one purpose, and that purpose is lethal. And those are just simple facts. And we as a community and a society, we've got to demand. You all have an obligation to demand that you do better. Just like when you think something, or I've done something wrong as relates to the jail, when you're breaking news stories and you criticizing this, you need to break a news story now. You need to demand that our schools have this. That's what you all have an obligation to do as reporters. You need to demand something. If we have them, then why aren't we using them? If you need manpower, let's figure out how to get it, period. And I don't mean it, my energy is not towards you all, it's just that my cup runneth over. I'm frustrated because when you and me, the chief and the captain, we see this every day. We know that you can only juggle. If I had 3 balls right now and I'm juggling them, it's just a matter of time before one of them balls drop. And what we're doing now is juggling. And it's just a matter of time. And I don't want that on my watch again. I don't never want to live through another Mount Tabor. I don't. I want to walk away from here in the next few years or whatever my term is without having another Mount Tabor. I still see that in my sleep at night. I still see that young man. I still hear his mother screaming. I still see him as he's dripping as we carry him out of the building. I don't want that anymore. I don't. And whatever we got to do to make it happen, then let's do it. Any more questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, you talked about that Mount Tabor situation, and you talked about, watching that video this morning that you saw. When you're, in that school yesterday, is there some level of, I guess, PTSD, or why are you so passionate about this cause and preventing something like that happening again?
The reason I'm so passionate is because we're talking about lives. We're talking about human lives. The reason I'm so passionate is because that woman and that man, we've seen more death than you see on Law and Order. We experienced the smell. We experienced the sights, the sound. We don't get to walk away from it after the fact when you see it when it's all cleaned up. We see it from the beginning in its rarest form. I guess the best analogy I can give you is that I don't smoke. But if you walk into a smoke-filled room, you're going to come out with smoke on you, in your hair and on your clothes. Anyone that has been in this profession for an amount of time, they can tell you the horror they've seen. We do it because we love this profession. We do it because we believe it. It definitely ain't the money. That's why I'm so passionate about it. And that's why every time something like this, I think about the possibilities. And when I look at my own personal life, the mistakes that I have made in my life, I have seen the warning before the chastisement. It's like when I get my hair cut real close and he cuts me too close. I feel an irritation before the pimple ever shows up. There's a warning before it happens. All these things that you see happening are warning signs. These are conversations that we have every day. I talk to the police chief at least 2-3 times a week. I talk to my command staff every morning. I spent the last couple of days riding around in jeans and a t-shirt to schools, making sure my guys are on point. I have moved personnel from other places to place them in places where we may have situations. You cannot sustain that. You cannot. I was on the phone this morning with the county manager. We cannot sustain that. I can't sustain 4 deputies. How many deputies I got on? 4 today? Yes, sir. I can't sustain 4 deputies at one school the entire year. I can't. Any more questions? I'm sorry.
I know that you said metal detectors are more on the school board's end, and the fact that they're not there. I know you just said that you had 4 deputies at the school. Is there any solutions from you guys going forward? Increased SROs around the schools, or what's being done on your guys' end?
I mean, if I had to lay a blueprint out, there are several things we can do, but all of them cost money, right? All of them cost. If it's personnel, that's going to be a cost. I read somewhere where you all wrote in the journal this morning that the statement was made, we have metal detectors for all of our middle and high school. I read that this morning, right? Well, if you have them, then you need to deploy them. And if you have them, you need to have personnel to work them, right? And if you don't, we need to hire people to deploy and manage them. Do some schools need more than one SRO? Yes, because of the size of it. Yes, because of a lot of reasons. And we need to realize that. Do we need more people? I can give it, because what you got to realize that situations that happen in the community work their way into the school system. Situation we're dealing with this morning, it happened in the community, but it worked its way into one of our high schools. And you got to figure out as a community, if it means we're putting interrupters on the bus stops in the morning, letting them ride the school bus with these young men and women, let's do it. If it means putting an adult on the bus in the evening, let's do it. There's a lot of people that would love to have jobs. And it may sound far-fetched, but there are some solutions that may work, and we've got to do them. We cannot sit still on this. We cannot. We cannot. I have time for 2 more questions. Yes.
You talk about 19 guns seized from schools and obviously the tragic incident at Mount Tabor a few years ago. I mean, how important is it to get these metal detectors in schools? I mean, is this between life and death? I mean, I guess talk about just how important it is to have them in schools.
Think about this. I just gave you guns. I didn't give you knives. I didn't give you brass knuckles. I didn't give you shanks. I didn't give you a plethora of other things that have no place in a school building. I just gave you guns. Guns. There's a reason that they have metal detectors at Wake Forest game, the Coliseum. There's a reason for that. There's a reason they have them at TSA. There's a reason. Think about it. If they have them at TSA, if they have them at the courthouse, right? And most of the issues before it end up in the courthouse originate in the community. True? The courthouse is where you resolve the issues, but the issues existed either in the school or the community. So would it not make sense? What's the most valuable asset that we have in this community? Our children. So I guess the question answers it on. How important is it? Paramount. Yes, sir. I got one. I'll get you. Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to, ask about the weapon found yesterday. Do we know how this person got the gun? Because he obviously did not get in a school.
It's an ongoing investigation. Petitions have been filed. We're doing a lot of things. And again, it's a juvenile, so there's nothing I can talk about that other than it was a real live gun with real live ammunition.
Do we know what caliber?
9mm. High velocity. Whether it's a 22, it'll still kill you. Yes, ma'am.
Do we know if the metal detectors were actually at the school, like operating? Were they unplugged at the time? Do we know any information about that?
Again, I won't speak for the school system. While I know the answer, that's a school system question. Fair enough? Again, I appreciate you all. I do. But you all have skin in this game too. We should demand something. And you all can get it done. It could be a breaking news. Put Devontae on it. Breaking news. We need metal detectors. Do something. That's all I'm saying. I appreciate you all. Love you. And thank you for coming.